matter how much heartache, no matter whose team is winning. It's perfect. You have the power. It is the truth. So breathe it in and sing it. Let's hear it. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. So it is. So I am. So we are. Let it be. So it is. So I am. So we are. Let it be. Let it be. Woo, doggy. One more time, please. May my thoughts fly away like petals on the wind. May my breath rise and fall with the tide. May I stand secure in myself again, my spirit naked with nothing to hide. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness as I never have before. The winding path that my mind will wander can lead me from this place. And I forget that the trail you left me is found on every face. I stumble out here unsure and alone till I remember and find my way home. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness like I never have before. Let me know you in this garden as you bloom from every tree and you sing from every creature and you radiate through me. Just as the seedling springs forth from the ground, I ask your spirit from me to abound. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness as I never have before. Let me
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the San Jose Center for Spiritual Living. Bless you. Where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. My name is Matt Lindstedt, and I'm a licensed practitioner here at the center, and this is Ron Wade, your practitioner of the day. If you're new here, we want to welcome you. You matter to us. After the service, we invite you to Fellowship Hall at the concierge table and fill out our guest book. They have a welcome packet for you to take home. It's filled with information about our center. Oh, today's flowers. Today's flowers are for the San Francisco 49ers beating South Carolina today. This is the time that we celebrate community. So please turn and greet somebody sharing your row. Each week we take 2 minutes of silence to go within, but before we do that, may I ask that you turn off any cell phones or things that make noise before we begin the chant.
Let's just take a breath and remember who we are and who they are and who we are together. I am a spiritual being. I am not this body. I am a spiritual being. I am not this body. Oh, Mother, Father, God. Oh, Mother, Father, God. I am a spiritual being. Sing that with me. I am not this body. I am a spiritual being. I am not this body. Oh, Mother, Father, God. Oh, Mother, Father, God.
There is the thing itself, the one life, the perfect life, that which really cannot be named because no word is a big enough container to hold it. And it is here right now as me. It is entertaining endless conversations on many different levels of which I am not aware. These conversations involve everything from the mundane to the blissful, all happening at the same time. And as these conversations are happening in, as, and through me, I know that they are happening in, as, and through each person hearing my voice. And these conversations are the source of life itself. They are the source of abundance. They are the source of beingness. They are the source of love, joy, inspiration, all those things that we attribute to the thing itself. And partaking in those conversations brings not only these things to those whom we partake with, but we are also the recipients of all of these things. And those are the things from which everyday wonder are made. Just waking up in the morning is a miracle. And as I am present to that, I know for each and every one here that they are present to that miracle too. So from that place of the miraculous, I am thankful and grateful. And I release my word into the action of the law, knowing that it's done, and I anchor it by saying, and so it is. Please join me in reading this month's affirmation. I know, affirm, and declare that divine intelligence, the mind of God, now guides and directs my every thought, my every action. I know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
I have traveled to the edge and I have logged many a mile. I've been weary to my center and disheartened for a while. Strange that I could feel so empty here beneath my skin, but I let the Spirit lead me. And I'm coming home again. God is bringing me home. God is bringing me home. Back to where my roots are planted, to reap the seeds that love has sown. Carried the heart of a seeker, and it led me on my way down the path of self-discovery to the place I stand today. Sometimes you need to seek the corners of the earth and sky. Allow your ego to be empty, see where true abundance lies. And God is bringing me home. God is bringing me home. Back to where my roots are planted, to reap the seeds that set a course for my salvation, back to the sweetest love I've known. God is bringing me home. God is bringing me home.
Good morning, San Jose. My name is Nicole Fraser, and I am your Insight speaker. I know we're live streaming, so I want to say hello to John. I love you. One of the most beautiful concepts that I have learned in these sacred walls at 1195 Clark Street is a practice called radical forgiveness. And there's a book by the same name by Colin Tipping, and we sell it in this bookstore. And radical forgiveness is this: if your life is all part of a divine plan, then everything that has happened was meant to be. And that there is no need for forgiveness of anything, therefore, because it is all divine. And I know as some of us start to think about our entire lives, you can start to understand why it's called radical. Because it makes you uncomfortable. And if it does make you uncomfortable, then you are exactly where you are supposed to be, because you are looking at it from a human perspective. Because on a human perspective, that doesn't make sense for our personality and our egos. But what Colin Tipping suggests is that you take it up a level, that you look at it from a spiritual vantage point. Because everything from a spiritual vantage point is divine. It is all divine. We don't say, well, the universe really made a mistake in 2008. I mean, everything else was divine, but 2008 was a real mistake. And so when I think of radicals and that word, what I think of is political and social radicals, people that change the world forever. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Jackie Robinson, Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, Eleanor Roosevelt, and all the people that wrote Brown versus the Board of Education. They changed the world. And make no mistake, at the time that they said their beliefs, people were uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. And so uncomfortable, in fact, that they received death threats, that they were ridiculed for their thoughts. And so, if it makes you uncomfortable, that's okay. Just take it up one level. But make no mistake, when you take it up one level and you look at all of those people and those times and the things they changed, and you look at it from a divine perspective, you know it was all right. Because from a divine perspective, you know that a man wanting to play baseball and being precluded from doing so because he was black doesn't make sense. And now these thoughts have just become commonplace for all of us. And we believe in this community, we love to say this all the time, that the universe is conspiring for our highest good, and we apply it most of the time. We're really good at applying it for positive things. Like if you've ever been with a couple that is breathlessly telling you about how they met, they will tell you about the most unusual circumstances that unfolded. Like Jim wasn't even supposed to be at that party, okay? And I was supposed to be at a Sharks game. He was supposed to take a flight, and then his flight got canceled, okay? And then my uncle wanted my Sharks tickets, and so I gave it to him, so then we met each other. We're like fabulous at it then, right? And we're even good with the benign, like I didn't end up getting my dream home, but then I was offered an opportunity to travel around the world, and really that dream home would have tethered me to San Jose, and I'm so glad I didn't get it. But when you think about your darkest moments, the things that were unbearable, unthinkable, heartbreaking, the moments that almost broke you as a human being, then it gets a little splintered. Some of my earliest memories as a child were watching my father beat my mother. And believe it or not, in those incredibly scary and difficult and violent and dark moments, a miracle was born. A real miracle. When I was 30 years old, I was practicing criminal indigent defense, and I noticed something when I was representing all of these men and women that were accused and oftentimes guilty of deeply violent things. I noticed that I connected to them, that I loved them, that in their angry, broken eyes, I saw someone that I recognized. I saw my father. And so a neural path was formed. My little girl brain knew this. I was crazy about my dad. Like all young children, I loved my father, and he was magical and interesting and funny and generous and dynamic, and he also hit my mother. And so what I knew was amazing, beautiful, magical people could do deeply violent and disturbing things. And it gave me an opportunity, when I sat with these men and women, to feel Christ-like. And that was the first time I'd ever felt that. I felt love for the supposedly unlovable. And it wasn't because I was a bleeding heart liberal or a Democrat or because I was trying to save the world or because I was codependent and hoping I could change them. None of that was happening. It was because I believed in the deepest part of me that I was them and they were me. And I believed that because of the many things that I had watched when I was 4 and 5 and 6 years old at quite literally the hand of my father. My father, because please know this, I know this in the deepest part of me, that was a gift. It was a gift because I learned that people that did really dark and disturbing things were lovable, that there was something beautiful, that there was something, a spiritual, beautiful thing behind that. And so if you ask me, do I practice radical forgiveness all the time? My answer is no. But I can tell you this, on this issue, I did. And it turned out to be one of the most beautiful things. My highest and most spiritual moments as a human being have been in jail cells all around the Bay Area. Know that. Those have been some of my highest and beautiful moments, and they were because of that complicated, sometimes violent, sometimes destructive man, and always complicated. What if 2014 became the year that we all became radicals? Every single one of us. That everyone in this room really believed that the divine universe was unfolding for them exactly as it was, that we no longer defined ourselves ever as a victim, that we rewrote our history to show that it was always divine. And from that, a new flow of energy came, and we would change our lives. And like every radical that came before us, we would change the world. That is my prayer for this community. And so it is.
So I didn't have a sermon prepared to follow that. It was equally as moving the second time as it was the first time. And I told the first service something that was authentic and real for me. Today is a very happy day for me, having experienced Nicole Fraser for this reason. Back in the 80s, when I was a member at the Burbank Church of Religious Science, and my mentor was Reverend Dr. Marlene Morris, whom we call Reverend Ma. She told me that I'll know that I have succeeded as a minister when my students are better than me. And my students are better than me. And that makes this a really, really good day because I want to tender my resignation. I don't want to, but I'm not going to. I'm not really. But I can see that should I disappear into the ethers, that the work we've been up to will be in very good hands. My sermon notes have to be altered because after hearing Nicole and considering radical forgiveness, my life is altered. See, the sermon that I came prepared to deliver is not adequate. Because when I sat in the first service and I heard Nicole share that her experiences as an attorney, being in prisons and jails with people, and being able to experience even a hint of what it must be like to be Christ-like or to be spiritual, one's world is altered. And my world is altered such that the notes that I came prepared for are not adequate. But the beauty is there's something in me and in you that is beyond adequate to create what will happen henceforth. It would have been my hope a long time ago that I could have a map or a handout or a little manual that we could hand to everybody when they leave every Sunday to say, now this is what you need to do. Now this is how you need to act. This is what you need to stop. This is what you need to start, and this is what you need to keep. But such a manual doesn't exist, or we'd have bought it. We'd have had it. We'd have downloaded it. We'd have pirated it. We would have stolen it. We would have broadcasted it. So if it doesn't exist, then what are we doing? What's the point? It seems hopeless. Accept that the thing that we're seeking is what causes us to seek. And what makes us up to the task is that we're in the presence of a mighty power. And this power isn't just it's not just a law. I mean, it is a law. It operates as law, which makes it predictable and non-capricious. That means we can depend on it, whether Republican or Democrat, whether we're male or female, whether we're gay or straight. We can depend on it. So it's a law. It's not going to withhold. But at the same time, it's more than just a law. The thing about which I speak and what causes me to live every day is there is a presence to which everything is possible. And it's not a person, but it's a presence. And I grappled with that for a long time because I wondered, well, how presence, person, what's the difference? Well, you know the difference. I know the difference. It has a personal relationship with me, and I do with it. But it is everywhere, in and through everything. It's not just a man that's somewhere distant that may or may not take my call. I have one regret today. I have one regret. I regret all the countless folks who weren't here to experience what we just experienced with Nicole. I regret that. And I'm grateful that if they're not here, that they're at least watching the game. So I'm inspired into action, Nicole. Thank you. I want to take that on. You know, do any of you have anything unforgiven? 3 people, really? Really? I mean, do any of you have any thoughts about the beard I have or not? I know you do. About what I'm wearing or not wearing or should be wearing, or about the weather or the way the weather should be or shouldn't be, or yeah, we constantly move through the world with opportunities to forgive. And to forgive for me is simply to not judge it as having to be or should be or ought to be different than it is. It is the way that it is. It is exactly the way that it is. Like these chairs are exactly the shade of green that they are. They're not, I mean, why are they green and not purple? Because they're green. And wouldn't it be great if we could actually live our life with that perspective? It is the way that it is. Now what will I do with it? So often I've wasted so much of my life. I've wasted so much of my life railing against the way things are, when I could have accepted the way things are and then created the way things could be. But I never get into what could be because I'm too busy driving that sports car with my hand on the rearview mirror. That's how I'm driving, like looking at the way things were or should be or could have been. But they are the way that they are. Our topic today is Everyday Wonders. And it comes from a book called A New Design for Living. When Reverend Susan and I and other leadership were putting together this annual theme, we had planned that we were going to be using a book called A New Design for Living. And as a community, we would go through this book together. But it wasn't until late this year that we found out that the book is out of print. So we're still going to use this theme, and we're now casting spells to get it put back into print. Everyday Wonders is it's like radical forgiveness. It's a challenge. I dare you to see everyday wonder today. I dare you to be in the presence of the unforgivable and find radical forgiveness. And you don't have to look very far for things to forgive or for things that are everyday wonders. Tonight I leave for Bali. and I'm leaving for Bali for 12 days. I'll be back a week from Friday, so I'll be missing one Sunday. I'll be missing next Sunday. Next Sunday, Reverend Susan Overland is the guest speaker. So this trip was planned a year ago. There are about 30 of us from this community that are leaving tonight and going to Bali to join Reverend Dr. Edward, who's leading us on a pilgrimage through Bali. He loves Bali, and he spends at least 2 trips a year there leading groups on spiritual pilgrimage. But I'm leaving tonight. I want to suggest something for you, and that is if you're now planning how you will spend next Sunday now that you have it off. Consider coming no matter who's here in the stage. And let me tell you why. It's possible that if you come here, even knowing your favorite singer is not going to be here, or your favorite band member, or your favorite musician, or your favorite speaker, if you go anyway, it's possible that you're moving from being just a spectator into someone who is really exploring the possibility. So I want to challenge you to come anyway. And Reverend Susan will knock your socks off. That's what she does. If not, she will shock your socks off. So I'm leaving tonight, and most of you know this about me, but some of you don't. That there was a time in a not too distant past when getting onto an aircraft or flying anywhere was enough to cause me to not want to travel. So very early on, my first flight was on a TWA flight from Kansas City to Los Angeles, and I was 12. And it was a DC-10, and it was magical and mystical. And somewhere between then and now, I developed in me an irrational fear about flying, such that I got paralysis. And I even got to the point when I would drink heavily before getting onto an aircraft. And then I even got to where I was terrified that I was going to explode, implode, die, plane falling, metal, crash, burn, blood, babies screaming. That's what I thought, and everything in between, right? I mean, I know I'm not the only one. So I realized that this was impeding my ability to live a life free and full. In fact, even when I would go on vacation, I would never enjoy my vacation knowing that I had to fly home. So it impacted my holidays, and I realized this is not the way that I wanted to live. And I remember having a revelation on a particularly bumpy flight. The revelation was, even if this plane goes down, I do not want my last experience as a living human being to be terror. And that was the turning point for me. I didn't eradicate it then, but I got to tell you something. Now, flying is one of the best parts about my trip, and I'm not making that up. How it happened is prayer, and through conversations with God, and through some very effective techniques called information gathering. So I know it's not very popular in ultra-liberal spiritual communities, but the information is a very valuable tool. I have often been accused of being not spiritual because I seek information, but I've wondered, well, what does that mean to be spiritual? Well, that means that your life should be a mess, and your trunk should be filled with junk, and your car should be dirty, and your checkbook not balanced, but you are holy. And you wear goddess-wear. You wear goddess-wear, which doesn't suit me. I've tried. But I'm finding that there is a valuable marriage between living in the mystical presence is most powerful when you're living with productive and useful skills. So that is the promise we have this year, to marry and present the two continually, over and over and over. Highly spiritual, highly practical, highly spiritual, highly practical, highly spiritual, highly practical. And one of the first practical things I got was from a therapist from this community named Lee Hartley. And Dr. Lee Hartley consulted with me. I asked her for some help, and she said, you're in stories. You got stories in your head. Somehow you've created stories about flying. You've created stories that you think are true, but you live, and your body even responds as if these stories are true, but they're not true. And I say, well, yes, they are. What are your facts, she'd say. And so we started doing research, and I'm finding that actually we have a lot of fears about things that ain't so. So fast forward a few years, flying is fantastic, and I enjoy it. It's my own space. I get to use that time to clean the desktop on my computer, or to read things on my Kindle, or watch whatever movies I want to watch, or eat whatever snacks I bring onto my plane. This is my space. I can't text. I can't email. I can't phone anybody. Even when it's a possibility, I don't, because I pretend that there's no wireless. And what I'm finding is what was once a horrible experience turns out to be one of the best parts of my life. Now, coming here today, I sat in the chair right behind Nicole, and I again did a random Google search to find out what are the real facts about flying. And do you know that there are 15 to 18 million flights every year in the world? 15 to 18 million commercial flights that take off and land safely somewhere in the world every year, which equates to 40 to 50,000 successful problem-free flights, 40 to 50,000 every day. Now, statistically, you'd have to fly on an aircraft every day for 200 years before being placed in a significant chance of experiencing an accident. Not even a promise of an accident, but you'd have to fly every day for 200 years to experience a significant chance of an accident. Now, in the USA alone, there are 35 to 40,000 deaths in car accidents every year. That equates to a jumbo jet crashing and everyone upon it dying every other day for a full year, to equate the amount of people that die in a car accident. But how many people actually get into a car accident, get into a car, put on your safety belt, and then begin the... A few of you do when you drive with me. But most of you don't. So we've got stories about things that just ain't so. So I'm getting on this plane tonight and going with to Bali. And I'm getting on this plane. I'm going to be on that aircraft. It's EVA Airways flight BR0007. The Core Council President, Marsha Benkala, will be on that. The Core Council Vice President, Liz Fedina, will also be on that. And someone on the Core Council said, I don't think you should all be flying on the same aircraft. I said, well, I'm not worried, and neither are the others, because we have information. So wouldn't it be a pity to spend 25 hours on an aircraft and not have a good time? But how often do we spend time on an aircraft missing the fun we could be having? How often do we spend time in our day missing the joy we could be having? How often do we waste time with our beloved missing what could be occurring? So these are all seeds that we're planting. We're planting seeds, sowing seeds of greatness. There is other seeds that have been sown recently. So my personal trainer at Club One at City Center in Oakland, his name is Francis. And Francis is this little Filipino guy who has a bit of a temper. He's a lot of fun to work with. So not too long ago, I was on the leg press machine. He had me working on my legs. And so I was holding on, and I was like, making this face. And he said, stop with the face already. I thought, really? Why? He said, what kind of message are you giving your body? Try it again. I'm going, he says, now smile. But it's amazing what occurs. See, even when we're working out, what kind of message are we giving? What kind of declaration are we making? What kind of commitment are we presenting? So to even smile through the pain, I'm finding that is sowing seeds. I read this week a man named Sir Ranulph Fiennes. He wrote, "There's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing." I also read that spirituality is a process and not a product. Spirituality is a process. It's not a product. Your spirituality is experienced today. while you're in radical forgiveness or radical non-forgiveness, while you're in despair or while you're hopeful, while you're sad and disappointed or while you're requited and fulfilled. Your spirituality is what you're experiencing just by virtue of the fact that you are alive. But for some, they hope that their spirituality will be experienced as a product. Like, one day I'll get there. One day I'll have my mess cleaned up. One day I'll have the perfect waist size, bank account, love affair. One day when I get the best job, or one day when I get married, or one day when I have kids, or one day when the kids grow up and move out, or one day when we retire, or one day when I finally die. One day. Well, this is the one day. This is the day. With whatever you're facing. This is your spirituality. How you are in it is the practice of your spirituality. See, it matters not so much what we do, but it matters how we feel about ourselves and experience ourselves as we're going through what we're going through. It matters really not so much that you're facing dragons or that your life is roses. It only matters how you are facing those dragons or trimming those roses. That's what matters, because that's how you're establishing character. And your character is what sustains you. In fact, character is what allows you to develop the beginnings of radical forgiveness. Character. So I'm really moved by this particular community and the live streaming community and the people who are subscribers to the audio broadcasts and podcasts, because they're taking this on. They're taking it on not just as a theory, but they're taking it on as a practice. Werner Erhard wrote something about the difference between being empowered and being disempowered or powerless. You have a choice today to move through the world empowered or powerless. Empowered people really have a lot to do because they realize that they're making an impact, and they realize also, empowered people realize that they are the proactive creators in their lives. Disempowered or powerless people don't have to do that. They don't have many options because it's not their fault. Powerless people are really powerless because they believe that they don't have a say in their own life. And so there's pros and cons to being powerless. The pro to being powerless is that you really don't have to do very much because it's not your fault, because you don't have opportunities, because it's not your time, because the world's not in your favor, because you're too old, too young, too fat, too skinny, too white, too black, too gay, too whatever. You don't have to. But that's the pro. No, that's the con, really. But the pro is you can be powerful when you realize this. This is the key. Like, well, how do I move from being powerless to being powerful? You choose. That's it. You choose. But once you choose, be consistent. Because consistency will create an impact of difference. See, you don't choose to be powerful for 5 minutes until you're faced with the next obstacle, and then you sort of give up and say, well, it's not my fault again. A cloudy glass of water becomes clear when you consistently leave it alone. When you leave it alone long enough, it will settle and it will clear again. That's why we advocate spiritual practices, and why my favorite spiritual practice of current time is just to be quiet, to be silent, and to be still. It allows my mind to become like a cloudy glass of water. It just settles after a while. Conversely, or in addition to that, there's another way. If you have a cloudy glass of water, a muddy glass of water, and you put it under a faucet, just the crystal clear water intake goes drip, 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 consistently will eventually cause that water glass to be clear. That's what affirmation does. But do so consistently. Whatever it is you do it consistently, and you will find that you get results. But his name was Al Franken. You guys heard of Al Franken? Al Franken wrote, "It's easier to put on slippers than to carpet the whole world." So, I wanted to share with you that we now have these Center for Spiritual Living water bottles. They're BPA free, and they work. We have these available in the bookshop, and the reason why we moved forward with these is many of you in this room are committed to green living and really didn't like that we were offering disposable and recyclable plastic bottles. So it's our commitment to not have those available anymore, but to have these available so that these are refillable. If you decide to take one of these, to take one home with you, to buy one at the bookstore, there is a water filter dispenser in the kitchen. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's on the kitchen counter, and it's next to the big coffee makers, so feel free to fill it up as much as you want. Some of you think that the kitchen is only for special people. No. Go in there, and if open the fridge, check it out. If there's anything in there that doesn't have a name on it, it's yours. But while you're in there, if there's anything that looks messy or like a science experiment, throw it away. Take it on, clean it out. This kitchen's yours, right? I want to close by asking you to hold the 30 of us that are headed to Bali in your prayers for an extraordinary pilgrimage, so we return to you safe and refreshed and able to share a good message. Hold also prayers for Florida as they lose to San Francisco today. Is it Florida? What? Carolina. No, yeah, well, okay, North Carolina. North Carolina, except unless you're live streaming in North Carolina, then I really want to thank people like Nicole Frazier, who keeps stepping up with their spiritual practice and reminding me that there are some extraordinary people alive and well in the world. And I'm going to take a challenge. I'm going to live this week with radical forgiveness, and God help me not to have too much more to forgive. Let's pray together. I'm just taking a moment to remember. Just to be still like a glass of cloudy water for just a minute. Just allow the murkiness to settle. And in the clarity, I have a remembrance that the highest God and the innermost God is the same God. And I know that I'm with a bunch of men and women who have varying backgrounds and differing belief systems. I know that right now with me are people who believe in one God, people who believe in no God, people who believe in many gods, and people who believe it's all God. And the beauty of the inclusivity of the thing itself is that all of that fits. So I'm just going to pray the way that I pray sometimes, in the presence of my friends and family here. And that is simply to call it out, like acknowledging the presence of a good friend. God, I know you're here. I know you're here as the invisible and the visible, in the joy and the hope, and in the sadness and the despair. And I know that no matter where I go in you and as you and through you. But sometimes I forget, and sometimes I behave badly, and sometimes I do things for which I regret. And right now I'm making a promise, a pact with you, asking you, the wisdom that I am, to override the impulse that I may have to go astray or to disappoint or to react. Override it, so that I might be like those giants. Eleanor Roosevelt, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, Jesus, Mother Teresa, and so on and so on. I want to be like them, which means I know what I'm signing up for. That means I'm signing up to sometimes be in the presence of folks who will be in disagreement with me. But I'm not going to resort and revert to violence and reaction. Instead, I'm committed right now to a world that works for everyone, and so I'm taking this on. And should I forget, and it's likely that I will, I pray that you will remind me sweetly and gently and powerfully and unforgettably, thereby making this the beginning of the best period ever. And I'm grateful in advance, because I know with you it's already done, and so it is. As the ushers are coming forward to help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings, I ask you to join with me in saying together our giving affirmation for January. Love within me blesses everyone I meet today, and I am surrounded by goodwill. Everything I touch today prospers.
Have you noticed how the blossoms will spare their scent for anyone? For to fight its flowering nature would surely mean to perish. And how you yourself are similar and can share your gifts with everyone. For only what's worth offering is ever really cherished. And so God, let me be a witness to the power of your giving. And God, let me witness this power through me. My heart, it never will be empty, immersed in the truth I'm living. And as I declare, so it shall be. Like the sun that hangs above me doesn't have to work to shine. I need only just to open to have this season of giving be mine. As I ask for strength and clarity and the willingness to trust, I am confident it's happening. I am confident it must. And so let me be a witness to the power of your giving. And God, let me witness this power through me. My heart, it never will be empty, immersed in the truth I'm living. And as I declare, so it shall be. On and on, like a daily resurrection, urging me to roll the stone away. And on flows a heavenly connection God, let me be a witness to the power of your giving. And God, let me witness this power through me. My heart, it never will be empty, immersed in the truth I'm living. And as I declare, so it shall be. Yes, as I declare, so it shall be.
Thank you, Margaret and James and Billy and Dave. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Susan, and I have a few brief announcements that I'm going to share with you. But first, I'm going to let Sarah tell you about our Community Altar Project.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So we have an altar now. If you hadn't heard about it, everyone is invited to bring a small offering, something you find, something that's been gifted to you that you'd like to pass along, or something that you create. And you can contribute something or receive something. You don't need to offer something in order to take something. You can light a candle. They're batteries, please, only. You can also write a prayer. We have paper and pens, and put it in the bowl. It's a prayer bowl. You may also take a prayer. If you feel like you want to reach in and hold a prayer for whoever put it in the bowl, that would be beautiful. You can rearrange the altar. It's yours. It's community sacred art. Please participate. There's a journal if you'd like to share your reflections about your experience, what you contribute, what you chose to take, how it was to sit in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And then Will.
Hi there, my name is Will Jameson. I'm with the technology team here at the Center for Spiritual Living. And we are doing our best to go with the yearly theme and sow seeds of greatness. And our mission for the year is to be able to reach outside the walls of the center and outside of this community of CSL to the people who could actually use the principles of the science of mind, to be able to use the spiritual practices that we are learning here and use it to apply in their lives. But the only way we could do that is by sharing it with them. So our mission is to use technology to do that. And for that, we want to empower the people here in the community to take an active role and an active position. And so we created a few roles here that I'm going to go over real briefly, that you can actually step up and take power and to actually make an impact in other people's lives. So the first one we need is social media managers. So if you know how to use social media, or you don't know how to use social media, and you don't mind being taught a few things about social media, then we could definitely use your help here. We also need inspirational updates. If you find inspirational quotes and inspirational messages, you can definitely use your help, because we're actually going to be sending inspirational messages daily to the CSL community for 2014. We also need YouTube publication, because the live stream, it has like this direct feed thing, so we need to actually take the videos and post it on YouTube so that we can actually broadcast what goes on here at the center. So, and also it keeps a record of it, so everybody can go back at any time. If you had a certain message that was brought to you here, you forgot what somebody said, it made an impact in your life, we have it on YouTube now so that you can go back and enjoy that any moment you want. And then also to update the events, because I know there's a lot of events going on here at the center, and so we definitely need to keep that updated as much as possible. And the last one I really want a lot of people to get involved with is that we really want a lot of people to be able to express themselves in a way that allows them to feel like they are actually able to make an impact in other people's lives through their words. And what do we need? This is a technology department, but what we need is just people to write. Write something that means something to you, and just write something that you think could actually make an impact in somebody else's life. And what we're going to do is we're going to post that on the social networks. And we're going to post that on other, like the website and other medium that we can actually share it throughout our community. And then also throughout, once you share it throughout the community, we can actually feel free to have the power of sharing that content to other people out there that actually could use the material and use the spiritual practices that we have been practicing and we have been learning this entire time in their lives. And so if you have just even a napkin, write it down on a napkin, write it down on anything. If you don't even feel like writing, you can just call us and tell us, and we'll just write it down for you. You don't have to be technologically savvy for this at all. You can write it while you're on the beach. Actually, the best thing about all this is, especially if you're for you live streaming, is that you can do any of these roles any time of the day from anywhere you want. So you could be on the beach doing this, just 10 minutes on the beach. You could be in Centers for Spiritual Living and here zoning out while David's speaking. Like, I mean, it happens. It happens. I'm guilty myself. But I mean, you can basically do it on your own schedule, and we really much appreciate your help in making that impact and sowing seeds of greatness with the technology team for 2014. So thank you.
Thank you, Will. So I know that my role is typically to come up here every Sunday and do the announcements and do them quickly and funny and concisely. But I have to take a minute because every now and then I am deeply moved and inspired, not just by Nicole and David and our music and all that, but by people like Sarah, who just calls up in the middle of the week and says, hey, I have this idea, and could we create this space? And then somebody like Will, how long have you been here? 4 months? Maybe. Like, he's been coming here 4 months, and it's like, hey, I can do this. And so I thank you. I thank you both. I'm moved and inspired and touched by your generosity. And there's countless others, but right now, it was the two of you that just stood out, and I want to say thank you. Okay, we have a service tonight at 6 p.m., the Sunday night service, which will be facilitated by Maureen Ross. If you happen to have been away, like having a very extended, awesome New Year's Eve that lasted a couple of weeks, or maybe you were in a coma and you didn't know that we started classes last week, we actually started classes last week, but it's not too late for you to register. So if you missed the first night of class, don't worry about it. We can bring you up to speed and you can join this week. Those 3 classes are Foundations, Essential Earnest, and Exploring Roots of Science of Mind. You can find out about them online. You can register online. You can go outside to the concierge after service, and we can still get you into class. This is the last week to take those classes or to register for the classes. On Tuesday morning from 7 to 8:30, Ken Rowell is hosting the Better Business Brown Bag Breakfast. But here's the thing. You don't need a brown bag unless you're prone to panic attacks and you have to breathe into it. Other than that, you could just show up because they're providing a continental breakfast for you. So that is from 7 to 8:30 this coming Tuesday. On Wednesday night, we are doing our ABCs of Spirituality as part of our Sowing Seeds of Greatness for 2014. So the Wednesday night class is free. It's from 7 to 8. In the month of January, we're exploring affirmative prayer. We're going back to our roots and talking about affirmative prayer and spiritual mind treatment. On Thursday night, you can come and sit in the stillness. From 7 to 8, we engage in an hour of silence as a community together. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's very moving. And then there's a brief sharing at 8 o'clock, and then we have a meal together. It's hosted by your ministerial team or ministerial students. And then Friday night, I am so excited about Friday night. I think I mentioned it last week. You all know Reverend Valerie. Reverend Valerie is one of our ministers who happens to be a trained hypnotist, and I don't believe that stuff really.
Sing like Beyonce.
All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. And it's at 7:30 on Friday night. Some people say it's pretty funny, but if you're not prone to that, it's fine. But I've understood that it's quite comical, and it's very inexpensive. If you'd like to attend, we're asking a donation of $10 if you're taken in advance, or $15 at the door, and it's going to be funny. And it's age appropriate, by the way. So if you have middle school kids and stuff, they would totally get a kick out of it. Vision board play shop. And then when you're in this amazing, relaxed, beautiful state that Valerie is going to leave you in, you can go to BJ King's vision board workshop on Saturday from 10 to 3. Now, there's a lot coming up next week. Please look at your bulletin. Just a couple of highlights. There's a Clear the Clutter workshop, Women's Connection bowling, monthly visioning on Sunday in 2 weeks. Dr. David starting a class on Mondays, the end of the month, and we'll tell you more about that. But keep an eye on your bulletin and our website. And if there's something in your life for which you would like prayer, you'll notice we've rearranged that little corner over there to make it our own little chapel over by the altar, and there's a place for you to sit and meditate. But if you'd like prayer after service, take a seat over there, and one of our licensed practitioners or a practitioner student will come and pray with you. It's free. It's our gift. And have the best week ever, okay? Ever. Okay, what? No? Just 2 of you? Gone. The court council president, the court council vice president. Wet bar. Bring in the wet bar.
This is. Will, I need you guys to help us out. I love having a personal dresser. It's fantastic. Will, help us out. Sitting here, it occurred for me. So the class I'm doing in 2 weeks is called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. So if you're single, join us, because it's an opportunity to learn not necessarily how to get a mate, but how to be a better mate. And if you are a couple, the way I want to look at it, here's where I could use your help. It's $80 a person, but it's $80 for an individual, $81 for a couple. Can you make that happen? So if somebody's already signed up, if couples have signed up, make sure they get a $79 refund. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be a couple studying. No dogs, no cats, none of that. It's not going to work. Would you all please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left? Thank you, Dave, very much. By the way, wasn't it good having the band back? Won't you know with me that you and I are never alone, but that God is where we are right now and always. And the only thing that we will ever need to do, really, is look inside. Because it is there. We will find that we are guided, and we are directed, and we are inspired by this God that knows only good, and joyously let us make use of these gifts in all that we think and say and do, and so it is. And as is our custom, won't you please repeat after me? Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my finances. Life is in my forgiveness. Life is in San Francisco and North Carolina. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it just the way that it is and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.